Our final presenter this evening is an extremely talented younger person. I guess most of this room is younger than me. I should be careful. Tariq Mohamed is the founder and executive director of We Can Breathe PAC. He's a person who's dedicated his skills in marketing and communications and political activism to addressing international issues. He believes in the power of love to transcend barriers. It's a coincidence that his parents, his father's Egyptian from a village in Aswan, and his mother's from Managua, Nicaragua. And they came together because of love, and he is a great translator of that bond. Tariq Mohamed.
Check. Hello. Good evening, everyone. I got a few remarks here. It is quite an honor to introduce this final awardee of the evening. And I'm sure you all know Salma Hayek Pinault. She is a celebrated actress, a sought-after spokeswoman, a global activist who has partnered with fellow celebrities and international organizations to empower women and girls. She has addressed the United States Congress, demanding the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act, and delivered critical aid to women and children in some of the world's most impoverished communities in Africa and Asia. Her work through the Salma Hayek Foundation, UNICEF, and Chime for Change has touched millions of lives in meaningful, transformative ways by empowering young women and girls to live up to their potential. And she's also a fellow Arab American who takes great pride in her ethnic heritage. Her story is partly one of a daughter of a Lebanese father y una mamá de Mexico, a globally lived youth and adulthood, and a heart that deeply embraces the philosophies of the great son of Lebanon, Kahlil Gibran. The essential truth that Kahlil Gibran bids us to direct our affairs by is that we share a common humanity. Salma Hayek Pinault not only embodies this truth in her tireless activism on behalf of the most overlooked and vulnerable across the world, but it is her personal mission to share this truth with millions around the globe. And I just want to share an example that I know you all care about, one from the last couple of days in Salma's life. Ms. Hayek is joining us today right after her trip to Lebanon, where she was for a premiere of another one of her passions, making the animated film version of Kahlil Gibran's The Prophet. And yeah, give it up. In fact, I just found out that was the first premiere ever. It happened right in Lebanon, so what do you know? And while in Beirut, she advocated for the Syrian refugees living under extraordinarily grave conditions. And while there, Ms. Hayek also took the opportunity to weigh in on a contentious yet important issue of equal rights for women in Lebanon: the right to grant citizenship to children born of Lebanese mothers, as is done for Lebanese fathers. In Lebanon, this was the truth that needed to be shared, and Ms. Hayek spoke that truth to a global audience, and we would expect nothing less. Please join me in watching this short video that highlights some of Salma's work.
I told you who I was when you married me.
Yes, you did, and I married you anyway, and you promised to be loyal. You've been my comrade, my fellow artist, my best friend. But you've never been my husband. So you don't think that it was fate that you were standing in this line when I got off the phone?
Fate? No, I think it was more of a bladder thing.
Because you see, I happen to think there's an explanation beyond reason, beyond all logic, that brought you right to this very spot. Let me see your eyes. Is everything all right?
Yes, Mother, you know. Why you ask?
nothing I do or say gets through to her. She's just completely beyond my control.
Well, of course she is.
What?
I'm here to ask you to marry me.
I've lost the toes of one foot. My back is useless. I have an infection of the kidneys. I smoke, I drink, I curse. I can't have children. I have no money and a stack of hospital bills. Should I keep going?
It's practically a letter of recommendation.
Great. Just great.
I could help you out. I've got a lot of women's clothes up in my office.
Hold this, please.
Fashion clothes up in the office. What are you doing?
Ti amo, corazón. Él nadó hacia el vacío que su corazón hastiado y de rodillas él reza. Love gives not but itself and takes not but from itself. Love possesses not, nor it be possessed, for love is enough.
My name is Salma Hayek Pinault, and I chime for justice. To be offended enough by the violence that is done to other women, we have to find it in our hearts, in our busy lives, in our self-pity. We have to find our compassion. I don't think that motherhood has enhanced my concern for women. I think I've always had concern for women. But if I had never had a child, I don't think that I would be doing less than what I'm doing now. Probably I would have a little bit of extra time to do more. Today we are visiting some refugee camps through Chime for Change. We are visiting the camps that UNICEF is in charge of. I cannot begin to express how important it is, the support of the people of the world. We will shine a spotlight on those who are fighting for education, health, and justice for girls and women. Let's listen very closely to the voices that have never been heard before.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in honoring Salma Hayek Pinault with the Kahlil Gibran Award for Individual Achievement. Come on, give it up. You can do better than that.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. These papers here are not an eloquent and well-written script. They are a song. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing it. I'm going to read it. And some quotes, because I'm afraid that with the nerves, I might butcher Kahlil Gibran tonight. So they're here just in case. Not that I wouldn't like to have a wonderful, brilliant, eloquent script that I could read to you, probably written by a genius. And I confess, it is my fantasy to have that and actually take credit for it. But due to a severe case of stage fright and dyslexia, which is a lethal combination in public speaking,
I am standing here in front of you, trembling, feeling naked, and trying to pretend that I'm on command of the stage. However, adversity has always been a good friend, and it gives me no other choice than to speak to you from the heart. I was born in Coatzacoalcos, Veracruz, Mexico. My grandparents on my father's side were Lebanese. And in Coatzacoalcos, there was a small community of Lebanese people. And then there were a couple of smaller other communities of other people from the Arab region. But for the Mexicans, we were all Arabs. And I was raised to be proud of this. I was very lucky because I graduated from high school because I was a fast learner at the age of 15. And because my father was very jealous, didn't allow me to go to college until I turned 16. I studied international relations and political science in La Universidad Iberoamericana, one of the best universities in Mexico. And having only like a year and a half to go, and with good grades, I dropped out. I decided to become an actress. Imagine the face of my father when I told him. And I was again very lucky because I was spotted by a group of people that have a great reputation on finding young talent and turning them into stars. And in the last interview, they told me that they wanted to support my career, but that there was one little problem. That my name was ugly, that people would have a really hard time pronouncing it, and that nobody would ever remember it. And I said, so they wanted me to change it. And I said, but that's my name, that's part of who I am. What's the point of succeeding in anything if by the time you get there, you're not yourself anymore, you're someone else? And he said, well, you know, either the Hayek goes or you go. And I got up and I started walking towards the door. And right before I left, because I have the bad habit of always wanting to have the last word, I turned around and I said, first of all, it's Hayek, no Hayeke. And second of all, I will make sure they remember it. So then, eventually I became an actress, and then I moved to the United States. And when I got to the United States, I was no longer one of the Arabs. Now I was the Mexican. Finally, I had to leave Mexico to become the Mexican because of my accent. And they told me, you have to get rid of this accent and pretend you're American. If not, you'll never work in this town, unless you want to play the maid for the rest of your life. And I immediately developed a blockage to get rid of the accent. Then I married a French guy, and I moved to France. And you will not believe what I'm about to tell you, but I promise you it's true. To them, I was an American actress. And they told me, if you live in France, you have to speak French. And I immediately developed a blockage for the French language. And after years of being there, I didn't realize I actually speak French until I moved to London. Where, of course, by then, people know who I am, so they had some sense that I was, you know, from a Lebanese background and Mexican and having worked, an American actress. But really, in my circle, they see me as one of the many families that migrated from France to move to the UK. So I guess now I'm sort of French. It's a good thing I speak the language. And so I have always been an immigrant. And I've been very lucky to always have been an immigrant. Yes, because no matter how anybody saw me, I've always very easily adapted and embraced every culture and all the people of the different countries that I have lived in, and I've always been proactive in trying to make myself productive to each one of the countries and the different communities in need in every single one of the countries. And then because of my work as an actress, I've also had the opportunity to travel around the world and live temporarily on location in many different parts of the world. And I've always been curious about what I can learn from all these different cultures. And I've always fit right in. And in my work as an activist, I've been able to work in India, in Africa, in North, Central, South America, in the Middle East. I've been to the war in Kosovo. And everywhere I went, I always felt part of these people. And there is no other way to be an activist, because only by feeling you are part of them that you can really fight to find the solutions to the problems. So yes, I am a citizen of the world, and my country is humanity. But everywhere I've been, and everywhere I'll go, I take with me the passion of my ancestors, who like me once left their country with the dream of a better life. With them in my heart, I dream of a greater future for the world. And I dream that this future is forged by a more evolved human race. And tonight, it's very important for me. You cannot begin to imagine. It's actually more than just important. Tonight, it's a magical night. And when I tell you the story of why I think it's a magical night, even some of you who don't believe in magic might end up agreeing with me. The magic begins with the month of April. On April 2nd, 1902, my grandfather, Elias Hayek, was born. I was very close to him. And I'm sorry for my cousins, but I was definitely his favorite one. I can still remember so many things about him. And one of them, of course, was this book with the man, with the mysterious man, by this amazing drawing that Kahlil Gibran did. And to me, he looked like my grandfather, and he didn't. But in his piece, he reminded me of my grandfather. Also from my grandfather, I learned a very, very important thing: death. He was the first person in my family and close to me that died. And I thank him for that, because only by confronting death, we truly begin to ponder upon the mysteries and the meaning of life. And I did that thanks to him at a very young age, when I was 6. Later on in life, I don't remember exactly when or where. I must have been in my late teens. He appeared again. That face, he was looking at me. I found a book in some friend's house and I borrowed it. And through this book, I found my grandfather again. It really felt like he was talking to me through the words of Kahlil Gibran, and he was teaching me about life. And so, of course, this book represents a very personal experience for me, but then I found out that there are millions of people all around the world who have shared the same kind of connection to this book, who the words of Kahlil Gibran have so strongly impacted them positively and spiritually. And so I thought that it would be important that the future generations don't ever forget about him. And mostly in this time, I thought it was crucial that we pay further tribute to this man who was an Arab man who wrote a book of philosophy that has sold more than 100 million copies and has united all religions and all countries and all creeds and for many different generations. So this is where the dream began, the dream that later turned into a nightmare because, my God, the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. You know, when you try to do something that is related to our region, our part of the world, it never is easy. But if you do something that is different, then it gets almost impossible to get done. I started going around asking for money for a film that was written by an Arab about philosophy. At the time, I didn't have a script because I needed the money to go get the writer. At the time, I didn't have a director because I didn't think there was one director that could really express the spirit of Kahlil Gibran. We needed many directors, 9 directors at least, because I needed the perspective of all the different religions and all the different countries and all the different creeds and all the different ages. And then, of course, I didn't have any actors because there was not going to be any actors. We were going to do a philosophy book in animation, normal. And you know, by the way, the animation was going to be all different kinds of animation because we needed to really be artistic and imaginative because he was an artist himself. And then I found out that the industry does not think that children understand or would like poetry. Wrong. Children think in metaphors. They are poets from the minute they are born. That's why one of our ways to communicating with them is through the nursery rhymes. And of course, in this film also the reason for animation is that they get the message of Kahlil Gibran's words all through the imagery, and it goes, the message gets to go straight to the subconscious. They don't stop and think and try to, oh, I don't think I understood every single word. They're free. They're closer to their spirit than any one of us. So his words seem almost familiar to them. they just embrace them. It's really amazing to watch the phenomenon. Then I realized that the industry also thought that youth, young adults and teenagers, are not interested in philosophy. If they were not interested in philosophy, ISIS wouldn't be recruiting them all over the world. There is just no content that gives them enough stimulation to try to look for their own philosophy. They also thought that, breaking the rules and having all the different styles was not cinematic. Wrong again. They were all wrong about everything. But finally, after 4 years of this movie taking over my life and not sleeping, this is why I look so tired. A dream comes true again in the magical month of April. And the film has its first premiere for the first release in Beirut for the release in Lebanon. It was a beautiful thing because it was also the first red carpet premiere that Beirut ever had. So it was both of our first. And because of this, of course, another dream of mine comes true in the magical month of April. I had been dreaming of going to Lebanon my whole life with my family. And we tried 4 times with tickets, and every time something exploded and something happened. I had to cancel the ticket and I never made it. It was like a curse. And finally, after all this time, we get to come to Lebanon. Nothing could have prepared me for the beauty of the country and the warmth of the people. Nothing could have prepared me to see the reaction, the overwhelming reaction that the Lebanese people had to the movie, to the film. On the way there on the entrance, there were riots of joy. Everybody pushing and screaming. And on the way out, they came out inspired with tears in their eyes. And then also, I got to do another dream in this month of April, which is that when the Syrian conflict began, I knew that this was going to be brutal. And I started sending privately some aid from the very beginning for the refugee camps. Then, when we formed the Time for Change organization, immediately one of the first projects we supported, I was able to keep helping in a more structured way. But I'm a control freak. So I need to go see what they're doing and assess what's the next strategy plan to take it to the next step. So I was able to go and experience this firsthand. And I was very proud of my Lebanese background. Because, as you know, Lebanon and Turkey and Jordan do not have oil. These people have their own strong problems to deal with. And yet they open the doors to the Syrian people. But in the case of Lebanon, it's even a bigger example. Because the Syrians could be seen, at least at some point, as their enemies. Yet they still found the generosity in their hearts to embrace them in their country. And I was very proud also of the work that has been done. But I was heartbroken to realize all the work that still needs to be done and all the help that we need. The kids in the camp wrote me a song and they sang it. I didn't understand a word they were saying. But I worked in really tough places, Calcutta, Sierra Leone, really places you cannot imagine, in much worse conditions than the one I went. And I never cry. I get the work done, I smile to everybody, but these kids, the purity in their voices that could show so many things that would stab you right in the heart. They were not crying, they were not complaining, they were just singing with their souls. And I cannot bring these voices to you, not yet because I'm working on something, but I can bring the lyrics to the song they wrote. It is my right to learn. It is my right to feel affection. Don't forget I am human. Incomprehensible. We were distributed in all the countries, incomprehensible. The nights are long, our return is inevitable. To live safely, the sky is lit by stars, and the love for my country is the warmest affection. The worries will not transform us. Let us live in peace. Let us live in peace. Oh, my country. It is our right to go back to you and forget the days of deprivation. We are your children, Syria. We did not get used to sadness. Oh, my country, it is our right to go back to you and forget the days of deprivation. Stop making us cry. Pray to God to protect us. I believe that the only war worth fighting for is the war against hate. The weapons can only be compassion, forgiveness, and empathy. We were born with empathy. We learn to look away. I want to take this opportunity to thank my father because he taught me, let me take these ugly glasses off, at a very young age to cherish my compassion. And he made me treat everyone the same. I'm sorry I'm taking so long, but please indulge me also to tell you a little bit about his dreams that also came through in the month of April. We went to Lebanon, and my father was his dream. He had never been. And he was able to re-encounter relatives that were lost, meet new ones, see the church where his father was baptized, go to the house where his father lived, and lay in the bed where his father dreamt his dreams of youth, and he sobbed like a little baby in front of the Lebanese television, and I am proud of him for it. And this amazing trip not only gave me so many dreams, but also gave me experiences that I had never dreamt about. We went to the Kahlil Gibran Museum, and as the president of the committee was saying some lovely words to me, I saw a banner right next to it. I have to put them back on. And it had a quote by Kahlil Gibran that said, "The children of my Lebanon, those who migrate with nothing but courage in their hearts and strength in their arms, but who return with wealth in their hands and a wreath of glory upon their heads." I realized in this moment that it was not only my dream, but also through me, my grandfather was also fulfilling his own dream. And it made me think of this other quote that I had known before, but I saw it in a completely different way. "Trust the dreams, for in them is hidden the gate to eternity." From there, we went into the museum, and in the underground of the museum, there is the tomb of Kahlil Gibran. And right next to it, there is another quote, which I don't have written, and I am going to butcher, but it said something like this: "I am alive like you. I am standing by your side. If you close your eyes, you can see me." Kahlil Gibran died the 10th of April. Guess when my grandfather died? On the 29th of April, today, the 29th of April of 2015, I received from the Arab American Institute the Kahlil Gibran Award for my humanitarian work. Today is the anniversary of my grandfather's death. And the name Hayek, the one they wanted me to get rid of, will be in the list with the names of all these extraordinary human beings from an Arab background that have made astonishing contributions to this country and to the world, in spite of adversity and discrimination. So, if you still don't believe in magic, I kind of feel sorry for you, because magic is a fun adventure. And it's in all of us. You just have to believe in it, like they say in the fairy tales, to experience it. But only magic can make anything possible. So we can make anything possible. I would like to make a toast. This is the last thing. I would like to make a toast, but I'd like to make it with water, not with wine, because this will remind us that we are all one. Whether you believe Jesus Christ turned the water into wine, or whether your religion doesn't permit you to drink wine, we all have to drink water. And so in this hope of unity, I want to make the toast with water. And for all of you who are superstitious, because they say that if you drink toast with water, it's bad luck, I invite you to go beyond your beliefs and trust in the power of intention. I invite you to close your eyes for a second and feel right next to you Kahlil Gibran and all your ancestors and all our ancestors that are here with us tonight. And I would like to drink so that we all cherish life and respect it, our life and the life of others, and so that when we are no longer in our bodies and life goes on, we can go on proud of the life we led as brothers and sisters. To life and a better world. Shukran.